Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nadex Morning Analysis. It is February 25th. It's a Thursday, and we've got a couple of things that we want to go through with you this morning for opportunities to look at in the markets. But before we do that, I do need to take care of a quick housekeeping item. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, my good friend Brian Caprice. Before Brian and I get into it, we need to share the Nadex disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. All right, with that, I know what we're going to discuss today. There's going to be three things we're going to look at. One, we're going to look at what happened with gold yesterday and what you could potentially be looking for as an opportunity today, because gold has been making some interesting moves. We're also going to go back and take a look at the euro US dollar forex pair, something else that has been moving, and we'll take a look at that. And then I think we'll do a quick peek at oil before we call it a day, because we got to stay on time today. I've got to drive my wife to work. She broke her arm and I'm not having her walk on the ice to work again, just so she can break the other one. We can't have that. So Brian, why don't you kick us off a little bit here with what we saw in gold yesterday and what we might be looking at for today?
Yeah, so interestingly, the green arrow up here, up top, that you guys can see, is actually pointing to where we were yesterday. And we saw a very, very large, if you guys remember, here's the 9 o'clock candle. The dot is, that's a 9 o'clock candle. We mentioned, hey, this is an not unprecedented, but a very, very large emotional move, very, very, in close proximity to when Powell was speaking, and we had seen what he said the day before. And the interesting thing about it is, we talked about, when you want to buy something, you typically want to get it on sale, not when it's more expensive. We didn't know what question was going to be asked, but very, convenient that all the drop happened in the pre-market U.S. hours before somebody like Powell. So what happened is Powell started to speak right here. We talked about if price was getting down to the 1780 level, we were looking for a buy. It missed it by about, a little tiny bit, by about $1.50, I think it was. But again, we knew that as soon as Powell was speaking, that's where the catalyst of movement was going to come in. And it did. It rallied up again. Funny enough, I said that, listen, any type of longs that we took from this level, make sure that we were out before this level. Why? We saw that's where the sellers had stepped in. Very, very strong movement down. I didn't touch any one of these price tags. You can go look at yesterday's recording. It just happened to hit the 1806, right literally on the dot, and then rolled back down again. And again, this was a parabolic move. For those of you that watch the webinars on the parabolic retracements, this is exactly that. It literally went right back to the start of the move and then continued to push lower. So where we are today, story has changed a little bit. We don't have Powell speaking today. We just got some data in, and it was that the preliminary GDP number quarter over quarter actually missed the forecast. Now, not that 4.1 is bad, but the expectation was that it was going to be 4.2. So we can gold continue to push down in the overnight. We've actually seen dollar weakness in the overnight as well, based off of European strength. And again, some of this is also news-based. You're seeing where is it? Right here, you're seeing this third stimulus check is here you go. You see the business jumping on board. Everybody's saying, hey, send the money out, send the money out, send the money out. We need it. Help us. And this has been great. Keep sending it. And again, what that's done is basically we haven't seen inflation. They're saying, hey, no, the economy's bad. We need this money. It's driving gold down because we're not seeing the inflation. So we've driven back down to that 1780 level. Now, this is what we've hit a few different times now. We've tagged it here one time. It got front run, and again, you can count that as a hit because we knew Powell was coming in. It just didn't. It needed like another 15 minutes. He came in a little bit early. We had another touch this morning, and now we're hitting the level again. So it is now that warning level where we talk about it break. Now, I know a lot of you guys that want to trade short term. You guys have jumped on the Harry Potter trades. I get at least 1 or 2 emails every week about the Harry Potter. There is a Harry Potter setup. We've talked about an area of buyers stepping in here, right? Really between 1760 and 1768. If we wanted to refine it, we could say right around the 1764 range. with the way that it's hitting this level now and starting to base, setting itself up for a continued short. You could either wait, and I know there's some, Todd's going to mention something in a second that's a little bit lower here. I believe that there's an intraday kind of small time short and down to that level. There could be a 10 o'clock reversal from that level. Why I want to point this out is you can see right now, the technicals are, this is a strong sell right now. Now, again, whether you believe the technicals or not, it's saying it's a strong sell. Interestingly enough, if you go across, know how much I like the daily FX consumer sentiment. 83% of the clients are net long right now. So whenever you see something above 75 and 80, it's like, oh, if the retail public is out there and everybody's going long because gold, inflation, be the best time to short it. So again, we're seeing on a purely kind of, and again, we talk about IG and daily FX, we're talking about the retail trader. We're not talking about the banks and institutions. So when the stocks are all trying to go net long, and we're seeing something like this where the technicals and everything we see are strong sells, we're hitting a level right here. Yeah, there's probably some more room to run. But again, eventually it'll be too much. All those retail traders that are net long have to start selling and getting out of their positions, which also helps us put a bottom in. So again, that could potentially give us, it's not this one. It is over here. It was here. There it is right there. That potentially puts us over here, probably in this range, right around 64-ish level. That I would say that if price after this is complete, there'd be a potential rollover right here.
All right, so let's take a quick peek at that over on the Nadex charts on the Nadex platform. I'm looking at this in knockouts. I always like to take a look. Sometimes a knockout makes sense, sometimes call spread, sometimes binary options. If you don't know the difference between the three of those, please, we've got some recent webinars that really kind of go into depth on those. I chatted out a link for our upcoming webinars, but in there is also a link for the archive. You can find all of our recordings in there. Now, right, we saw, this is what I'm going to now zoom in some so we can really see this chart much better. So let's give us some room in here. There we go. So it's nice and easy to see. This was that red bar down. That was that emotional spike that we were talking about as they pushed things down. No news at all. Pushed it down. And then immediately, you can see it's 10 o'clock. Powell starts speaking. And we saw an immediate reversal. And we were kind of saying something isn't right here. This thing's going to move. We didn't know which way it was going to move, but it was going to move. And it indeed, it rallied back. And then Brian had actually pointed out that level. It's going to come all the way back up to the top of this, of where they started pushing it down. And it did. So there was this crazy move down. It totally reversed itself. And then overnight, we've just been seeing gold get hammered. Brian's seeing further downside here, even though we've kind of touched this level before. If you wanted to go short gold, you could do that in binary options, call spreads. You might even look at a different knockout. There's a knockout right here in this range where, it's not totally perfect, but if you wanted to take a short position, that's one way to do it. What Brian was talking about the other way is, we get down into the 1765. That's where buyers are probably going to start stepping back in. So if you wanted to take a look at knockouts, if it got down into this range way down here, and you were looking for it to bounce a knockout, you could try a long position looking for a bounce down in that 1765-ish area. If we're wrong and it goes down and it touches 1763, you would get knocked out of the trade. You were wrong, you bought it, you took a shot looking for a bounce, but it's an opportunity. Or you wait for that bounce to start going and then catch the wave as it starts, instead of trying to time it before, wait until you see a confirmation and have it start bouncing back up. But look for that 1764, 65-ish range below if gold continues lower. All right, the next thing we want to jump into, I think let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday with the euro, the other place where we saw some volatility.
Yeah, so I guess we can start back down here on the 30 minutes. We'll start on the now. So yesterday, again, remember that are new and attending these programs, we appreciate you guys coming out. The blue box that I'm using chart, this is the price action that occurs during the European session, okay? A lot of the biggest movements, the strongest movements are always coming from that European Open. Yesterday, we were sitting, make sure I give you the exact mark. We were sitting right here yesterday, all right? And we talked about coming down to a level base 121 flat. Again, this was one of those trades that we said, hey, listen, be careful. Powell comes in. Powell has the power to absolutely change the market. In an ideal world, it would have came down. He would have waited to see anything until it came down to our level. Powell doesn't always listen to what we're saying, unfortunately. You know, it did come down and actually touch the top of the hourly, but we talked about getting as close as we possibly could. We knew he was going to move the market. And again, the response is very, very much like gold. Again, it was a dollar play. Rallied back up again. We had a little bit of a gap here. Now, since that time, we've had very, very strong movement. And you can see it's already starting to kind of put a top in. It has that kind of failure higher pattern that we talk about. It dropped, and you can see the little green candle. You can see the little right here before it kind of pushed up in that red, green, red. This much movement this early in the European session, again, it tends to be retraced. I mean, you can see it here. Here it came up, came back down again. Here hasn't retraced yet. Once it finally broke through, it came back down and touched. Same thing. Strong push down in the European session, rallied back up again. Strong push up now, and it looks like it's going to try to roll back down again here. Well, I will say I do like shorts more than longs. I know some people will be looking to take it long from this area at 121.77. The reason why I'm not going long necessarily at this point is because here is back on the 4 chart. And again, when we talk about the different products that Nadex have, when I mention the curve and kind of my weekly kind of bullish or bearish type mindset, I typically, you know, it's kind of like if I look at big time frame, I'm thinking knockout. Right now in knockouts, I'm not necessarily, I'm in this upper third. I'm looking more for short. So point I'm waiting. I mean, ideally, I'd love to get a big burst forward. But 123.19 is an area that I'm looking to get short at. As you can see, we're in the top. So really, anytime we have this failure to go higher pattern, in which case you can see it on the minute, I'm looking to take my shorts longer. And again, could you get long and pull back? Sure, I guess. But right now, too much emotional move just because Europe is, stepping up their vaccine rollout doesn't mean their economy is, back where it fully needs to be. So again, I do think it will retrace. U.S. traders will step in and say, no. The dollar is not going to go that weak. And again, I think there's probably a short opportunity here.
All right, I'm just going to flip this over here. And again, we saw that emotional move yesterday before the market. I mean, the dollar just got strong. And we couldn't figure out why. And then here right when Powell speaks, this thing starts turning around. And weakness in the dollar, and it came all the way back to where it started again in the overnight session. Massive strength in the dollar, and we're looking for a rollover. In fact, we're already starting to see it now. How could you do that? There is, call spreads are another interesting product. Here, you don't get knocked out if it touches your boundaries. So there's some interesting ideas in with the call spreads, where if you wanted to go short in a limited risk, limited reward way, looking for this thing to continue to roll over, you could potentially look at the call spread market in the euro US dollar if you wanted to do that. So just an idea. Again, dollar got absolutely hammered yesterday, got absolutely hammered last night, looking for a little bit of a retrace. All right, for the last thing, Brian, I don't know if you want to do a quick little touch on oil, just because we had that weird inventory report yesterday, but let's see if we can keep it quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yesterday oil inventory kind of rallied back down, and we were looking for really kind of somewhat of a pop, right? As it rallied down right before oil, we expected a pop. The number that came in showed that we had a surplus. I mentioned, hey, we get a surplus, this thing has to drop. Right now, it looks like the fundamentals are not mattering. People are not believing the forecast right now. Is supposed to be minus 6.2 million, and it was up 1.3, 1.2, something like that. It should have dropped. It rallied higher. I think it was too big of a difference. Many people out there trying to short this, so the speculators rose the price up to take all those people out and kind of do a short squeeze. So now we're actually sitting inside of an hourly zone. You can see that I have 2 different hourly zones. One here, and again, we're starting to kind of retract down again. If this continues to remain bullish today, I would say watch out for the area around 612 as a potential base and kind of bounce back higher. If we base and go higher, I was going to say, we break 63, 67, watch out, 65, 25 is coming. Gas prices, they go up. So again, right now it looks like it's down, but watch that top side.
All right. And in those markets, given the volatility, I'd say you might want to consider the binary options over there in oil today. Might be the a way to play it with the least amount of risk.
Yeah. I'll just add this lastly. With the G20 meetings tomorrow, they're going to talk about economic recovery globally. Oil will be on the list. They mentioned oil most likely. So again, it could be a little bit volatile tomorrow.
And we'll discuss that tomorrow morning. With that, I actually want to bring up a couple of things. One, this is really important. Next week, Brian and I are going to start doing these 15 minutes earlier, so we're not butting into the open of the U.S. markets so closely. So we are going to start 15 minutes earlier on Monday. You'll notice that when I put them up on YouTube for next week. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that we're going to do these 15 minutes earlier starting next Monday. But that'll give you a little extra time to grab a cup of coffee when we finish, stretch your legs, and get ready for the U.S. Open. Two, if you're brand new to Nadex and you don't understand these charts at all, and you don't understand technical analysis at all, and you're a little lost, I am doing a webinar later today on the very basics of technical analysis. So if you'd like to catch that and you haven't registered for it, I put the upcoming link for webinars in there. You can register. That will be later this morning. So I just wanted to put it out there for anyone out there who's brand new and would like to get the very, very, very basics, and I mean real basics of technical analysis and charts. Please join us then. But you'll also notice if you go there, I'll tease it up. In a few weeks, we're going to be doing an entire education summit again on how to be a day trader at Nadex. You'll notice that registration link is up on the page already as well. With that, I want to let you go get ready. I need to go take care of some business. And I think you're set up. Keep an eye on gold, the euro, and oil. Brian and I will be back tomorrow morning at the regular time. And with that, everyone, good luck in the markets. Thanks.